Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 41 of On the Road with AutoTrader, where we make car stuff simple for Canadians. My name is Jodi, and I'm the editor-in-chief of AutoTrader.
And my name is Dan Alika, and I am AutoTrader's road test editor. And Jodi, it happened again.
What happened?
I was driving in this morning. I was cruising along, and there was this matte black BMW X6 in front of me. Well, he was behind me in the adjacent lane, and he came speeding up, and then he changed lanes in front of me and didn't signal. And then he changed lanes back, and he did signal. And I was like, okay, maybe that one was a fluke. Maybe he, missed it. Maybe his bulb was out. I don't know.
Okay.
But then we drove together for almost 10 kilometers. We were just going in the same direction. And that entire time, we had to make a left-hand turn, and he did not signal. He changed lanes 5 times and did not signal a single one of them. This whole thing with BMWs,
The stereotype exists for a reason, I guess.
I hate to let down those BMW drivers out there who feel attacked by this, but it's just more often than not,
do better.
You see it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not singling out BMW drivers. It's just why does it keep happening?
Yeah, I know. I think for me, one of my biggest pet peeves when driving around is when you're in a similar situation where you just happen to be following someone for a really long time and you witness them make a string of mistakes, one after the other.
Just brutal.
And that just usually when I see stuff, I usually give people the benefit of the doubt because everyone makes mistakes. But when you witness it happening again and again and again, ooh, that gets hard.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, it's not a fluke, right? And that's why at first I was benefit of the doubt was there. I went, oh, he didn't signal that first lane change, but he signaled the next one because there was a guy up ahead who was waiting to turn left down a side street. So he dodged back to the right and changed lanes. And I was like, cool, he signaled and he did what he needed to do. But then for the rest of that drive, 10 kilometers of
you were like, I'm going to tell the podcast about this.
Oh my God. I just don't. It's laughable. I'm like, listen, I always say it. The rest of us aren't mind readers. Yeah. I don't know. And that bus driver didn't know that you were going to change lanes. And when you're making a left-hand turn, it's just simple stuff. I don't get it.
And Dan says this as a person who will signal even if there is not a single soul around
Because
him.
What do I always say? If you do it when no one's around, then you're definitely going to do it when there are other people around.
It's
Create
a
good habit. That's all it comes down to. Anyways.
Rant over.
Yes.
Until the next BMW who doesn't signal crosses
tune
you.
in next episode. No.
A few episodes we talked about cars that will be discontinued, that won't be around for 2024.
Yeah.
And so that got us talking a lot. And so there have been a lot of great cars that have been discontinued throughout the years that we really wish would make a comeback.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't listened to that previous one, scroll back a couple more and listen to that one first. Because those ones are ones that you can still buy right now, but you won't be able to buy in a couple months.
Yeah.
The cars that we're going to talk about today, you haven't been able to buy for some time now, a couple years, and we miss them a lot.
Yeah.
And you'll notice a trend with a lot of these vehicles that we're going to mention.
Mostly rooted in practicality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're small vehicles, not a lot of SUVs on this list.
Yeah.
And so we're going
to
be...
No SUVs on this list.
There's none. We might think of a couple. Every time we do these episodes, we'll always go on a tangent and think of other things that we missed.
Well, we just, in the last episode, with JD, we just talked about the Chevy Astro, and I was like, oh, what a great, EV candidate.
Okay, so let's talk about that one in this episode too. So if you remember the Chevy Astro, it was that big boxy van that was really popular in the 90s, I would say.
80s into the 90s. I don't have data here, but I feel like it was kind of mid to late 80s. All the way through into 2004, you could still buy it.
Yeah, and so you wanted that van to make a comeback because first of all, you love vans, but
vans
tell them
are great. But that one, I thought of it. I was like, not only is the name, it just makes sense with EVs. They're always looking for these kind of space agey sort of names. So the Chevy Astro, it just makes sense. But it's big, right? And if you take a look at the Volkswagen ID Buzz, which is Volkswagen's electric van that is coming out next year, it uses this big footprint so that it can have a big battery, so that it can presumably have lots of range. But an Astro would be exactly that, and it would be great for work vans, right? For, all of these contractors out there, plumbers and HVAC
Or even for like
technicians, and
outdoorsy people.
you
Like,
love outdoorsy people.
well, I'm not one,
I know.
but you are.
Well, a
I
little
mean,
bit.
you could get an Astro van that's electric and put your
Oh,
bike in there. You can go camping in it. You can sleep in
I
it.
love that idea. So yeah, that to me, but that was one of those vans. Like I understand it was, big and heavy and inefficient, but it was also like the flip side of it was cool. It could tow a ton because it was a body on frame. So it was like a truck frame underneath this van. They were so spacious.
And I feel like if they were to make a comeback, I want it to look very much like the original model. Like, just give me a box on wheels. I think it would be so cool,
Yeah, that'd be great.
right?
Because if you look, like the Mercedes Metris it's the same idea. Like it's unibody, it's not body on frame, but still, it's like if you looked at that and had like an Astro off in the distance, you'd be like, oh, I see how that van has kind of morphed and turned into this latest iteration of it. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities to see something like that.
I feel like minivans, maybe if we got like a cool retro looking one, like the ID Buzz, people are really hyped about that. And I feel like if they came out with an Astro that looks like the old one, people would be excited because we're also nostalgic for that,
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it would have the same effect. Like the ID Buzz is based on, like the old Volkswagen Transporter. Like that's such an iconic design. You think of like, California, going to the
Yeah.
beach and hippies and, all that fun stuff. So it's like it has more of that universal nostalgia, whereas like the Astro is like for you go, oh yeah, like
Well, pretty
driving
much
around with
anyone
a
our age, right? Can you imagine? So imagine people our age who have children
yeah,
who are not concerned
crazy
about,
people.
yeah, crazy people. We don't have children, but like people who aren't concerned about like looking cool, like, oh, minivans aren't cool. Like, I disagree with that, but I think people our age would be super nostalgic for something like that.
I'd like to think so. I don't know.
I'm hopeful.
Anyways, let's get to the rest of the list, starting with one that might be controversial, the Mercedes-Benz B-Class.
So the B-Class was like a little hatchback that they had. Got discontinued a few years ago
Yeah,
now.
it's
You
been a
haven't been
while.
able to buy one for a while. But it was at that time the most affordable Mercedes you could buy. Um,
Yeah.
it
And it was just
looked,
practical.
yeah, it was like it was very tall for a hatchback, so it
Yeah.
had lots of room in it.
You're right that you said as we started talking, this list was going to just automatically expand because right away that makes me think of the Toyota Prius V.
Oh
What a
yeah,
great car.
so practical and so
And it
efficient.
kind of looked like a Mercedes B-Class a little
It did
bit.
have that same silhouette.
Yeah.
And so it was very affordable to buy the B class back then.
Yeah.
I think it was only front wheel drive.
No, I think there was an all-wheel
Oh,
drive
was there?
version, yeah.
Okay.
But it was very like the B, or it used to be an A class in Europe that you could buy. That was
It's
the
even
kind of
smaller.
predecessor. Yeah, but it was the same like shape where it's like, kind of like a tiny van. Didn't have sliding doors, but that was like the idea, right? It was an MPV.
Yeah.
So it was just rooted in practicality, not necessarily in luxury. And that's one of those things where when you look at Europe, Mercedes isn't necessarily a luxury brand. Like, yes, you can buy luxurious Mercedes models, but it is just it's like the do-it-all brand in Europe. If you take a look, like you go to Germany and it's like all the cabs are E-Class sedans, right?
Yeah.
They're not luxury lined, like, ooh, I'm getting into a
Yeah,
Mercedes.
they have like cargo vans and stuff.
Yeah, but it's like this idea that that it's just a car company that builds cars that people buy. They're like affordable. They do what they're intended to do. And then if you want a luxury model, like a luxurious version, you can get that too. The B class was like the ultimate take on that. And it didn't translate extremely well in the North American market. Like that, because we think of Mercedes as a luxury brand.
Yeah. And this one was never meant to be that. And so
No.
I think it didn't meet a lot of people's expectations here for what they
Yeah.
expected from Mercedes.
It's the same thing now you're seeing with, we just talked about the Mercedes Metris. That was never like, if you get into that, yes, you can see that it's a Mercedes. You can tell it's got the same, dash and infotainment, but it's like families have opted to buy those thinking of them, oh, it's a Mercedes and it's got room for 8 people. And then they're buying them up. They're leaving, like contractors and like, let's say like shuttle drivers without options because they're being snatched up. And then they're not meeting expectations because they're not luxurious. They're not, it is a utilitarian vehicle. It's not a luxury vehicle, but people are like, ooh, a Mercedes and it's a van. I'm all for it. You want to buy it, but set your expectations accordingly.
Right.
But anyways, the B-Class, that was a cool car. I wish people liked it more.
I used to date someone who drove a white Mercedes B-Class, and I always joked that it looked like a snowbank.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very savage.
I can see it in my mind's eye.
Yeah, because that's the shape, because
Yeah.
it was just so practical. It
Yeah.
was just kind of a blob,
Yeah.
and it was great. I love that car.
Speaking of practical blobs,
We love practical blobs.
yeah, the Honda Fit.
I love the Honda Fit. I've said it before. It was the first car I ever reviewed as an automotive journalist, and it was so practical.
Yep.
My favorite feature was that it had these things called magic seats. So the rear seat cushion flipped up so you could store taller things back there and not have to like fold down the seats for the
I'll
trunk.
never forget that it was like the first gen Fit had like 4.5 feet of cargo volume or cargo height when you would flip the seat cushions up. So if you want, you could like, I don't know, if you bought like a big tall plant, you could put it in there and not have to worry about like trying to fit it in and tilting it on its side.
It is amazing how many things you could put inside of a Honda Fit. Our good friend Steve Elmer to this day still drives a red Honda Fit.
Yep.
In its previous life, this Honda Fit was a pizza delivery car. So you can still kind of see a faint outline of like the pizza delivery decal.
But it's still going strong.
But Steve was a musician, and so he put whole drum sets in there, no problem at all.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
We love the Honda Fit.
My friends Carrie and Allie, they're like, their lives are rooted in practicality. They went from a Fit to a Subaru Outback.
Oh, perfect.
Just all about because why not? I get it. Like, it is sometimes it's nice if you have, I don't know, room for multiple vehicles or you just really like driving fun cars. But it's like, to me, cars at the end of the day or vehicles are supposed to like do a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
it's an appliance for a lot of people.
Yeah, you don't want something that doesn't do what you need it to do. So it's like good to look at it. Now, I think people stray too far in the opposite direction. I've said this before. It's like you take one load of stuff to the dump in the spring and go, well, I need to buy a pickup truck. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
But like, be realistic about what you do with your vehicle. And that, like, for me, having my Golf wagon makes a lot of sense because whether I, want to go camping or go biking or whatever, it's like it works, but it's still a small car and it's still an efficient car.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Golf wagon has been discontinued and also the regular Golf. So right now in Canada, you can only buy the GTI and the Golf R.
Yeah.
So the regular Golf you cannot buy anymore. And that's a huge shame. Yeah. I am a Golf owner. Dan is a Golf owner.
Yeah.
A lot of our other automotive journalist friends also own Golfs. And I think that says a lot about like how good the car is, but how like well-rounded is it. It's fun to drive. I have a diesel one, so it's like extremely efficient. It's spacious. Your wagon can hold even more stuff than my Golf.
It's amazing. We just I said it on the last episode. Becky and I just drove out east, and I, care a lot about my bike, so I didn't want to put it on the roof for that whole drive. It's like 2,000 kilometers out to Cape Breton. So I put it inside, and we had 2 full-size suitcases, a cooler, backpacks, and there was still tons of room inside. And I brought back, if I remember correctly, I think I brought back 81 tall cans of beer.
That's so much beer.
I know. And you wouldn't even know. It was because there was just so much room in there. It's amazing. That was a big shame. And I'll tell you what, like, sure, wagon sales and hatchback sales have declined, but the only reason that the Golf wagon doesn't exist anymore is because Volkswagen wanted to bring the Taos to market. And the reason Volkswagen wanted to bring the Taos to market is because it can charge more money for that vehicle. There is no other reason, and it's not just Volkswagen. Any brand that you see replacing small cars with crossovers, they're only doing it because they are able to charge
I
more for them.
know. And the Golf Wagon was really cool because for a while it was one of the only vehicles that you could have with all-wheel drive and a manual transmission, which you
Yeah.
can't get anymore. So besides being really practical, just the option of having that available was really
Yeah.
cool. One of my good friends, Marina, she runs a vintage store called Rainbows and Retros. Her and her partner.
Wow, just a casual shout out.
Yeah, just a little name drop there. But they have a Golf Wagon.
Yeah.
And they were recently like, "Oh, our lease is coming up. What should we get?" And I'm like, keep your wagon as long as you can because they don't make them anymore. And I see she'll show me like huge dressers that she'll bring home like that fit in your wagon. She's like, "Yeah, and it had space to spare."
Yeah.
And I find that incredible.
It's such an amazing car. And now I do want to just back it up a little bit. Like Volkswagen tried pretty hard to keep the Golf and the Golf Wagon afloat. So not just the addition of all-wheel drive, but the all-track was, kind of like a Volkswagen Golf if it was built by Subaru. So it had a little more ground clearance, some body cladding. It looked, as Jodi would like to say, it looked like it was for outdoorsy people. So, I just want to be fair. Like Volkswagen tried, but at the same time, Volkswagen went, wait a minute, if we build a similarly sized crossover, we can just charge
smaller
more money.
Yeah.
It's
we think it's very unfair.
Yeah. But anyways, that's one that we deeply miss. Another one by Volkswagen that isn't rooted in practicality, it's rooted in cuteness only, is the Volkswagen Beetle.
I love the Beetle.
First press car I ever tested was the Volkswagen Beetle.
Really? I got my first speeding ticket in a Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh, that's an accomplishment.
It was my mom's car. It was a turbo Beetle convertible.
Those things could haul.
They were fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why my mom trusted me with it.
But yeah, the Beetle, that to me.
So cute.
Yeah, and it's just like.
Remember they had a little vase and a flower in them?
That was the first gen of the new Beetle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so the one that I drove was like the kind of last gen, like the most recent one before it was discontinued. Remember they like kind of flattened the roof a little bit.
It looked pretty cool still.
And the Beetle Classic came out, so it had those dog dish
wheels,
hubcaps on it, and like
they had the Dune. Remember the Beetle Dune?
But that was a bit of a shame that it didn't come in all-wheel drive.
I know. For me, that would have been icing on the cake.
Well, yeah, like if that's what people are after, like why not, right?
And again, I feel like the Beetle should come back, but as an electric car. How cool would that be?
I think it'd be cool, but it's the same thing with like the Miata. Is like, what kind of range are you going to get out of that? Like, there's no room for a battery pack.
I know.
And in North America, I know we get this a lot, and people talk about range and whatever, and it's like expectations versus reality and what you're actually doing with it. But it's like, that's just facts. I've talked about this a lot. There's that KPMG study, I think it was. And it's like 79% of Canadians say they wouldn't buy an EV unless it could travel at least 400 kilometers on a full charge. That doesn't seem unreasonable to me. And I don't see how, until you get into solid state batteries or some other form of fuel cell type thing, like I don't see how something as small as a Beetle could do the trick.
A Beetle wasn't too much smaller than something like a Chevy Bolt. You think so?
Oh yeah, big time. Because it was only 2 doors. The wheelbase was tinier.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing, right? Is like that battery pack needs to fit between the wheels, and it was just like really stubby. So that's a sad one. Now, here's another one that came with all-wheel drive. It was a good size. It was a crossover before crossovers, in a way. But I still think of it as a hatchback.
Oh, I see. So Dan's talking about the Toyota Matrix.
What a car.
What a great car. Again, practical. So practical.
Becky is on her second.
That's how happy she is with it.
It's just her mom drove them, like great cars. They're just practical. They were built in Ontario. They were built at Toyota's plant in Cambridge alongside the Pontiac Vibe.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was one of those interesting. Usually when you get situations like that, they're what you would call like a badge engineered vehicle. So there was the Nissan NV200 was this little work van, and then there was a Chevrolet version called the City Express,
I remember that.
but it was literally just an NV200 with a Chevy badge on it. You get that, from time to time. This was the more rare occurrence where it was mechanically identical, but the vibe it had its own vibe, some might say.
It did look like a completely different
But
car.
it was built on the same assembly line. It just used the same platform. So the wheelbase was the same. Overall dimensions were pretty much identical.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to get a few variances because of the different bodies. But so the vibe gets kind of an honorable mention here.
Yeah, because they're like taller hatchbacks, kind of like the B-Class that we started the episode with, right?
But you
Just
could get it. You could get the both of them. So I think the first gen you could not get all-wheel drive. You could pick between two different engines. So there was I think it was like the XR and the XRS. And the XRS had a little bit more power. And I don't remember what the Vibe version was called. But anyways, then when the second gen version came out, that was available with all-wheel drive. And I think, I could be wrong, any current or former Matrix owner out there can let us know at expert@trader.ca. I think you could get all-wheel drive with manual.
Cool. That's
Super
a great
cool.
combination that you really can't find that much of these days.
The last one would have been the Subaru Crosstrek.
Was that the last one?
Yeah.
So there's none right now?
None.
Oh, wow.
Well, no. Like performance cars, you can still get all-wheel drive manual. I'm just talking about from
like a mainstream model perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now it's the Volkswagen Golf R, the GR Corolla, the Subaru WRX. Am I missing anything?
Can you still buy Porsches and?
Oh yeah. That's a good point too. Any number of 911, like a Carrera.
You can get with four-wheel drive and
all-wheel drive with a manual. But
got it.
But in terms of when it's an economy car,
an everybody car.
yeah, that was the cool thing about what was going back to the Golf wagon, the Golf All-Track launched, and that was all-wheel drive, and then there was enough demand. I remember talking to Thomas Tetzlaff, who's a hilarious, wonderful man. He's the PR manager for Volkswagen Canada. There was enough demand that 4Motion all-wheel drive system was brought into the Golf wagon the following year, but not with the all-track kit. So you could just get a regular looking, regular ride height, all of that stuff, but with all-wheel drive because the demand was there for it. So again, I think, Volkswagen did try, but
I know.
Maybe that's on us as people.
Well, that's the thing. We always complain about, we wish there were more wagons, but then people don't buy wagons. So, we understand why these cars are discontinued. We just wish that people would approach car buying with just being more honest about what their actual needs are versus what their wants are.
I've also never heard, a compelling argument for, wagons or minivans being uncool. There's no... People say, well, it's the sliding doors, but it's okay.
I love sliding doors.
So do I. And it's at what point does your ego need to be left at the door where you're it's uncool, but then your kid isn't swinging the back door open and dinging some car in a parking lot or just loading stuff in and out.
I have another one that just came to my mind. Remember the Mazda5?
Yeah.
It was not a minivan. It had a much smaller footprint than a minivan, but it had sliding doors.
Yeah.
And you can get it with a manual transmission.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I saw? This one is a way back. This is up there with the Astro, and I know your family used to own one. But when we were in Cape Breton, I saw a Mazda MPV.
Oh, yeah, I love those.
And that was, so for those of you who don't remember the MPV, because it was discontinued I don't know, almost 20 years ago. It was a minivan, but it was you could get it with four-wheel drive. It was kind of again, if Subaru built a minivan. It was so cool. I remember when I was a kid, I was 4 years old, and we were buying a new house, and our real estate agent drove a Mazda, a green, a forest green Mazda MPV. And I used to think that it was the coolest thing.
That
Going to
is
these open
cool.
houses and her MPV, I'll never forget. And she had a gold one too. Remember that that it
I
was
think the one my family had was either gold or it could have been the black and white one. I don't really remember.
the gold and the green were the two like kind of most popular, at least in my memory. Those were like the most popular colors. And yeah, this lady had an MPV. I can't remember her name, but I remember her van. It's generally how I remember
Just
people.
remember people by their
Yeah,
cars.
who are you again?
Oh, you're the person who drives
Oh,
the.
you're the caravan guy.
Before our Ask an Expert segment today, here is a message from our friends at AutoTrader. Save time and money by using AutoTrader, Canada's most trusted place to buy and sell new and used cars. AutoTrader has the most cars, and one of the best features is price badging, so you can feel more confident that you're getting a good deal. So today's Ask an Expert comes to us from Jason from Alberta. Hi,
What's up, Jason?
Hello, my name is Jason. I'm a big fan of your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I live in Calgary, and I like that you guys are also located in Canada. My wife and I recently purchased a new 2022 RAV4 LE all-wheel drive in February of 2022. My wife is the primary driver, and I drive an older model F-150.
Okay.
I do a lot of
Wait a minute. Is this the Jason that was asking about premium fuel and all that stuff a long time episodes ago?
It might be.
Because he was talking, and I used to own the same generation. His was like 2003 F-150. I think this might be the same Jason.
I mean, he says he's a big fan of the podcast.
Hey,
so it could be. Anyway, welcome back. I do a lot of the minor work and maintenance on our vehicles, stuff like oil changes, brake pads, oil, air, and cabin filter replacements. My question to you is about dealership recommended maintenance. Mm-hmm. So most items, I'm going to kind of abbreviate it. It's a very long email, but most items are checking the drivetrain and like topping off fluids. So he's taken the RAV4 in for 2 recommended service appointments, the 8,000 kilometer and the 16,000 kilometer. Mm-hmm. I feel that for the minimal work they are doing, it's a waste of money. If I were to skip the service appointments and conduct these basic checks on my own, would that void the manufacturer warranty? So this is a 2-part question. That's the first part.
Okay. So the answer is a tough one. I hate to leave it as a I don't know or a maybe, but that really is what it's going to come down to. I've seen situations, not with Toyota, but I've seen situations where warranties haven't been honored or have been partially honored through goodwill programs because people haven't followed service schedules. I've also seen it because there's a, whatever they call that, but like a right to repair laws where it's like you can take your vehicle to a non, branded dealership. You take it to your local garage, and that's perfectly allowed. Same thing with doing oil changes in your driveway or your garage or whatever. That's not going to void your warranty. What I will say, I agree, or I at least see your perspective that yes, sometimes it may seem minimal. When you're looking at those, it's like 8, 16, 24,000 kilometer service. Sometimes it flip-flops. Look in your owner's manual. I'm sure, Jason, it sounds like you're pretty on top of this stuff. That's where you'll see the service schedule. So you'll know going into it that, okay, I'm coming up on a service B, service C. What I will say, I personally would follow that service schedule because of the peace of mind. Some of the stuff that they're checking that you may not check or may not be comfortable checking is stuff like your diff fluid. That's one of those jobs that's a little bit tricky, a little bit messy. And if you don't do it and I'm not saying that the RAV4 is known for frying rear differentials. It's just like, you never know. And this is a brand new, it's only a year and a half old. Like, I would probably stick to the service schedule and just keep doing your oil changes and stuff like that. I get it. Especially because it's fun. You're not really saving money. This is what I talk about with my friends a lot, that it's like you're doing it for yourself more than anything, right? Because the cost of oil and filters and all that stuff,
and the time you have to invest
exactly
into it.
That's the big one for me. So I'm all for you. Keep going down this path of doing especially stuff like your cabin air filter. Yeah. Don't get charged like $60 to literally like drop your glove box and put that new filter in there. But I would at least keep on top of that service schedule to see when major services are required, because you just never know, and you don't want to have a situation where there's an issue with your transmission and they look at your service history and go, well, you never did the service at whatever it might be, 72,000 kilometers, where it was supposed to be a transmission flush. Therefore, this problem is being blamed on that. That's where you might run into issues.
Okay, the second part of Jason's question is, don't most vehicles recommend changing the oil every 5,000 to 8,000 kilometers? On the dealer recommended maintenance schedule, they're changing the oil and filter every 16,000 kilometers using synthetic. This seems like a long time between oil changes. Is this due to the fact that they're using synthetic oil? I just wanted to get your take on this oil change frequency.
That's just modern vehicles. Yes, synthetic helps in that, but it's just that vehicle technology these days, engines, heat management is a lot better. That's a huge one. And those longer intervals, it's great. I think that's always sort of been permissible, but it was always, whether it was financially motivated or just taking the kind of safety first route of those tighter. Because I remember growing up, and it's like 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers between oil changes. And now you see 16,000 is kind of the norm now.
That's amazing. I do mine at every 5,000. That's what the recommended is. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for my Golf.
Oh man, I think my Golf is like 8,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I could probably stretch it a little bit more.
Again, my go-to is always, check the owner's manual. It's not, I'm not saying, don't trust your dealer service advisor is, going to give you sound advice, but it's just like for your make, model, and year, there can always be those slight variances. You just never know. So don't stick to like general advice. If you bought a used car and it doesn't have the owner's manual, order the owner's manual from the manufacturer or through your local dealership, because it is great to have, because it has that information. That way you're not just taking someone else's word for it. If you bump into, another parent in the school parking lot and they're like, oh, well, my RAV4, I got to change the oil every 10,000 kilometers. So you start doing that because you just take their word for it, but yours can go 16,000. Think about the money you're saving.
Yeah, that's significant.
It's huge. So I'm a huge proponent of that. But it's synthetic, and it's also just, engines these days are able to run further and more efficiently, and the heat management has come a long way. And so if they're saying 16,000, and that's what it says in your owner's manual, then take that and run with it.
Jason also ends his email by saying, keep up the great podcasts. I love the content.
Thank you so much, Jason. We really do appreciate it. Everyone's support. This is episode, 41? We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. We're always, we try to discuss topics that are interesting to us, because I think it helps get into it, but always we think about, are people going to want to like listen to our ramblings and, and so it's nice to know that people like you, Jason, do appreciate what we're doing here. And so we really do. We are grateful for all the support that you and everyone else give us.
And thank you for the feedback. It means so much to us. And the whole reason we do this is to make car stuff simple for Canadians.
Whoa!
And so, we love hearing that we're actually, doing what we set out to do and making an impact. So thank you very much, Jason from Alberta. If anyone would like to ask Dan or I some questions, you can email us at expert@trader.ca.
All right.
That's the end of this episode, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you guys on episode 42. I think we're going to talk about, how to keep your car safe from theft.
Yeah, this is a very hot button issue right now. Car theft is a huge problem. Used to be just in big cities, but apparently now it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And so we're going to be talking about, we're going to be demystifying what you can do, what insurance companies are doing, etc.
And honestly, just some cheap, tips and tricks to keep your vehicle safe from any of those hassles that you just don't want to deal with. So catch that next time, episode 42. Thanks so much for joining us. And Jodi, what do you always like to say?
Drive safe, and we'll see you next time.